Jai Hind everyone. Myself Dr. Vandana Sharma from Ajay Kumar Garg Engineering College, Ghaziabad. The subject which I am taking, that subject is Engineering Physics and the subject code is KAS 101T. The topic which today I am going to start, name of the topic is Relativistic Mechanics. So, whenever I am saying mechanics, meaning of this term mechanics is that we are dealing with moving objects, or that particular branch where we are dealing with moving objects, that branch is known as mechanics. And in mechanics, generally we can classify it into two categories or two groups. One you can say classical mechanics and the other one you can say relativistic mechanics. So, general classification of mechanics on the basis of speed or velocity of an object, we are having either classical mechanics or second one is relativistic mechanics. So, if you are having a moving object and if you want to describe the motion of that object, then mechanics is that particular branch which will describe the motion of that moving object. And if the velocity of that object is very small with respect to velocity of light, then that branch which will describe the motion of that moving object, that branch is known as classical mechanics, or that mechanics is known as classical mechanics. And the second one, when the object is moving with a very high speed which is comparable to speed of light, then that particular branch is known as relativistic mechanics. So, these are the two branches. So, you have gone through your classical mechanics or Newtonian mechanics in your 11th and 12th class, and in BTech first year we are having this new mechanics or this relativistic mechanics in our syllabus. So, we are going to start with this relativistic mechanics here. So, the topics which we are going to cover in this relativistic mechanics, those topics are, the first one is frame of reference. And as you have already know from your previous classes, that frame of references, they are of two type. One is inertial frame and the second one is known as non-inertial frames, right? Then this next topic is Galilean transformation equations. So, Galilean equations, Galilean transformation equations, basically they will convert the coordinates of one frame into the coordinates of other frame. It means there will be transformation of transformation of coordinates from one frame to other frame. So, these are the transformation equations. The next topic is Michelson-Morley experiment. After that, we will discuss the special theory of relativity. Actually, this is the base of relativistic mechanics, this special theory of relativity. So, here we will discuss the postulates of special theory of relativity. After that, next topic is Lorentz transformations, or you can say Lorentz equations. And after that, the next topic which we will discuss here, that topic is length contraction. So, length contraction, then we have time dilation, and after that next topic is velocity addition theorem, which is also known as relativistic velocity addition theorem. After that, next we will discuss variation of mass with the velocity of a particle. After that, Einstein mass energy relationship, the famous mass energy conversion, that energy can be converted into mass and mass can be converted into energy. After this, we are having a relationship between the total energy, which is noted by E, and momentum, which is noted by small p. So, we will derive a relationship between these two, but in relativistic mechanics. And after that, the last topic which we will discuss under relativistic mechanics, that topic is massless particles. So, these are the topics which we are going to discuss in relativistic mechanics. Now, before going into our first topic, first I would like to highlight the main difference between classical mechanics and relativistic mechanics. The first difference is that if the speed of particle is very small with respect to c, then in order to describe the motion of these objects, you will use that classical mechanics, which is also known as Newtonian mechanics. It means if you are having a moving object and if the speed of that object is very small with respect to the maximum attainable speed, which is speed of light here, if v is very small with respect to c, then you can describe the motion with the help of Newtonian, or you can say classical mechanics. Means you can use simple Newton's laws of motions in order to describe the motion of such type of object, right? Second is, if you are having an object which is moving, but if the speed of that object is very high, if it is comparable to speed of light, then you cannot apply that Newtonian mechanics or classical mechanics to describe the motion of this object. In that case, you have to apply this new field which is known as relativistic mechanics. You have to apply that special theory of relativity to describe the motion of such type of moving objects. So that is the first difference, right? The first difference is you can apply classical mechanics only for those objects where the speed is very small with respect to c, and you will apply relativistic mechanics when the speed of an object is comparable to c. But one more point you have to remember here, that this relativistic mechanics, that is equally applicable at low speed. Means you can apply this relativistic mechanics when v is very small with respect to c. Or in other words, I can say that classical mechanics is a special case of relativistic mechanics, right? Next point is, according to this classical mechanics, if a particle is moving, then all the parameters which are related to that moving particle or moving object, all those parameters, they are not affected by the motion. Meaning of this is, if you are having a moving object, then the mass of that object is not affected by the motion. It will remain same. If you are having a moving object, then length is absolute, that is not affected by the motion. But this is the case of classical mechanics. So the main idea behind classical mechanics is everything is absolute. But the main idea, the basic idea behind relativistic mechanics is that nothing is absolute, everything is relative. Means if you are having an object and if that object is moving, then the length of that object, mass of that object, the time of observation, all these parameters, they are affected by the motion. So according to classical mechanics, everything is absolute, whereas according to relativistic mechanics, nothing is absolute. Every physical quantity, every physical term which is related to that moving object, that will be affected by motion. As you know, the famous expression, that is m equals to m naught upon under root 1 minus v square upon c square. You might have heard about this relationship. So according to this particular relationship is applicable in relativistic mechanics. This m will be greater than m naught. Means when an object is moving, and if it is moving with a speed comparable to c, then there will be an increase in its mass. It means mass is not absolute there, that is affected by motion. So that is the main idea behind relativistic mechanics. So there are two main differences or two main points on the basis of which you can differentiate classical mechanics and relativistic mechanics. The first one is classical mechanics, that is applicable only if v is very small with respect to c, whereas relativistic mechanics, it is applicable when v is comparable to c, but it is also equally applicable at low speeds. Second point is, according to classical mechanics, all the physical quantities which are related to a moving object, they are not affected by motion. Whereas in relativistic mechanics, nothing is absolute, everything is affected by motion. Means length of the object, mass of the object, time of observation, all these terms, they are affected by the motion of object. So since we are dealing with mechanics, since we are dealing with moving objects, and you know, if you want to describe the position of an object or the motion of an object, then you always require a frame of reference. Means you require a frame, you require a reference point with respect to which you can describe the position, the motion of an object. So that particular set of coordinates with respect to which you can describe the position, the motion of an object, that set of coordinates is known as a frame of reference. So our first topic of today's discussion is frame of references. Clear? So frame of references means it is a set of coordinate axes, it is a set of coordinates with respect to which you can describe the position and motion of an object. And in 3 dimension, there will be a combination of, or there will be a combination of 4 coordinates x, y, z and t. These will be the 4 coordinates which are used to describe the position and motion of an object. Out of these 4, 3 are position coordinates x, y, z, and the 4th one, that is t, it represents the time coordinate. So the combination of these 4, that will form a frame of reference. Clear? So there will be 4 coordinate axes with respect to which you will define the position and motion. So that will form a frame of reference. And frame of references, they are of 2 types. One is inertial and the other one is non-inertial. So first, frame of reference, an arbitrary set of axes with reference to which the position or motion of something is described or physical laws are formulated, that is your frame of reference. So a set of 4 coordinate axes, as I have already mentioned here, x, y, z, t, that will form your frame of reference. All motion is relative, and in each case a frame of reference is part of the description of the motion. Means you will describe the motion of any object with respect to a frame of reference. A framework that is used for the observation and mathematical description of physical phenomena and the formulation of physical laws, usually consisting of an observer, a coordinate system and a clock or clocks assigning times at position with respect to the coordinate system. So whenever I will say that you have a frame of reference, then there will be an observer and there will be position coordinates. There will be 3 coordinate axes for position, that is x, y and z. There will be a clock which will measure the time. So that entire combination of those 4 coordinates, that will give you a frame of reference. Now we are going to discuss these inertial and non-inertial frames here. So inertial frames, a frame of reference either at rest or moving with constant uniform velocity, that is 0 acceleration, is called inertial frame. So that particular frame which is either at rest or which is moving with a uniform velocity, that frame is known as your inertial frame. It means there is 0 acceleration in these inertial frames. So these frames, they are also known as unaccelerated frame. So the name of this frame is also unaccelerated frame. The second one, a frame of, that is non-inertial frame, a frame of reference which is either having a uniform linear acceleration or is being rotated with uniform speed. It means these particular frames, they are having a finite value of acceleration. So these frames, they are also known as accelerated frames. So inertial frames, they are unaccelerated frames, whereas non-inertial, they are accelerated frames. Newton's laws, they are valid in case of inertial frames, and specifically that law of inertia, that is applicable in these inertial frame of references. In case of non-inertial frames, Newton's laws are invalid. 0 force, that corresponds to 0 acceleration in unaccelerated frames, whereas 0 force doesn't correspond to 0 acceleration in non-inertial frames. The example of an inertial frame is a train which is moving with a uniform velocity, that is an example of a inertial frame, and a freely falling elevator, that is an example of accelerated frames, or you can say non-inertial frames. So what you have here, you have a set of 4 coordinate axes x, y, z and t, and with respect to that set you will describe the position, or you can say motion of an object. And frame of references, they are of two type, inertial and non-inertial. Inertial, they are also known as unaccelerated. Non-inertial, they are known as accelerated frames. Inertial, they will completely follow Newton's laws of motion, whereas non-inertial, they are not going to follow Newton's laws of motion, right? Now the next topic is Galilean transformation equations. So first we will try to understand that what is the meaning of Galilean transformations or Galilean transformation equations. So what you have now, you have two inertial frames. One frame, that is your stationary frame or rest frame, and other frame that is moving with a constant uniform velocity with respect to the rest frame. What I am saying, you have two inertial frames. One frame is at rest, so you can understand it like this. You have this frame and this frame is at rest, and an observer is sitting in this frame at this position O. Suppose this is your x-axis, this one is y-axis and this one is z-axis. So this frame, this particular frame is at rest, and there is another frame which is your S dash. This frame is S, or you can write ST. ST stands for stationary there. There is another frame, and that frame is moving with a constant velocity with respect to this S frame, and this is very, very small with respect to C. What you have? You have a stationary, a rest frame, S frame, and observer O is sitting in that frame. Another frame is S dash, which is moving along this x-axis with this constant speed, and it is very, very small with respect to C. And the observer O dash, that observer is sitting in frame S dash, right? Now two observers are there, one is sitting in S frame and the other one is sitting in frame S dash. Now a particular event is happening, and that particular event that is recorded by both the observers, means that event is recorded by O as well as second observer O dash. So the set of coordinates for that particular event, for that particular object, that set of coordinates, that set is different for O and O dash. Means if I am observer O and if I am recording that event, then I am having a set of coordinates. Suppose that set of coordinates is x, y, z and t. And the second observer who is sitting in S dash frame, that observer is also recording that event or that object. For that observer, you are having a different set of coordinates. So these Galilean equations, actually these equations, they will transform the coordinates of one inertial frame into the coordinates of other inertial frame. If you can convert the coordinates of S frame into the coordinates of S dash frame, then those equations which will transform the coordinates of S into S dash, those equations are transformation equations. So I hope the meaning of transformation equations is clear. Transformation equations means when you are having two different set of coordinates, two different frame of references, and you can convert the coordinates of one inertial frame into the coordinates of other inertial frame, then those equations are known as transformation equations. Suppose that event which is being recorded, suppose that event is occurring at this position, right? So for this particular position, if the set of coordinates for frame S are x, y, z and t, and the set of coordinates for the other frame are x dash, y dash, z dash and t dash. So though since you are having four coordinates, so there will be four equations. One equation along x-axis which will convert x into x dash, Second equation, that will be for y-axis, that will convert y in terms of y dash, or z. Third will be for along z-axis, where z will be converted into z dash, and there will be one equation which will convert the time coordinate t in terms of t dash. So since you are having 4 coordinates, so there will be 4 equations, 4 transformation equations, which will convert the coordinates of one inertial frame into the coordinates of other inertial frame. So that is a basic idea of these Galilean equations, right? But you have to remember, these equations are applicable only for this case when V is very, very small with respect to C. So now we will try to derive those 4 equations known as Galilean equations. So I am going to start this. So here you are having 2 frame of references. This is your rest frame S, and the second one is S dash, and as I have already mentioned that this S dash, it is moving along, this S dash, it is moving along this particular direction. It is moving along x-axis and it is moving with the constant velocity v. And one more point you have to remember here, that v is very, very small with respect to c. Why we are always comparing the speed of a particle with speed of light? The reason is the maximum possible speed, the maximum attainable speed for any material particle is equal to speed of light. So that is the reason we are comparing this v with respect with c. So in case of Galilean equations, you have this condition, v is very, very small with respect to c. Now this frame is at rest, and this S dash, that is moving along x-axis with this constant speed. But initially when t, that is equal to t dash and that is equal to 0, it means at the starting point when you will start taking observation, when t is t dash equals to 0, these 2 frames, that is S and S dash, both are present at same position, both are coinciding with each other. Means initially this observer O and O dash, O is present in frame S and O dash is present in S dash, but initially when t is t dash equals to 0, these 2 observers, they are present at same point, right? This O will remain at the same position, it will remain here, whereas this O dash, or you can say this particular frame S dash, it will start moving along x-axis with this constant speed. And if this is the new position of S dash after a time t, and you have this particular particle which is described with the help of both the frames, and if the set of coordinates for that particle are x, y, z and t for frame S, and if the set of coordinates for the second frame are x dash, y dash, z dash and t dash. Now we have to correlate these coordinates. We have to correlate x with x dash, y with y dash, z with z dash, t with t dash, because same object, same particle is there, but that is described by S as well as S dash. It means both the observers, they are describing the same particle, but you are having a set x, y, z, t for frame S, and you are having a different set for frame S dash. So next one is, 2 events occur simultaneously in 2 separate frames, then naturally 2 set of coordinates will be obtained for the 2 frames. What you have to do? You have to correlate these coordinates of x and x dash. A Galilean transformation is used to transform between the coordinates. You have to transform the coordinates of one frame into the coordinates of other frame. So for this, what we are going to do here? So this is your x, y, z with respect to O, and the coordinates with respect to O dash are x dash, y dash, z dash, and one more coordinate is there, that is time coordinate. after time t, if this is the new position of S dash, then what will be this displacement? Meaning of this is, initially O and O dash, they were present at same point. After time t, this is the new position of frame S dash. So in time t, what will be this displacement? Since it is moving with this much speed, it is moving along this direction, it is taking time t to travel this particular distance. It means this displacement will be bt. With respect to O, S dash is taking time t to reach at this new position. So for O, this displacement is vt. And with respect to O dash, for this observer, the time taken to travel this distance is t dash. It means this displacement for observer O dash will be vt dash. So this is vt as well as vt dash. Now if if point P is here and the coordinates are x, y, z, then what is the value of this? If I am saying with respect to S frame, this is the position coordinates x, y, and these are the position coordinates x, y, and z, then along x-axis, what is the value of this? It will be x. And with respect to S dash, if the coordinates are x dash, y dash, and z dash, then what is the value of this? Since it is representing the x coordinate with respect to S dash, so it will be x dash. So now you can see from this diagram, this x dash is actually total x minus this. Total is x, this one is x dash. So if you want to write x in terms of x dash, what will be x? It will be this x dash plus this term. If you want to write x dash in terms of x, what will be x dash? It will be x minus this term. So from here you can write x dash is equal to x minus vt. So as you can see here, what these coordinates, that is x and t, they belongs to S frame, and the coordinates x dash which are there on left hand side, these coordinates belongs to S dash frame. These for S frame and these coordinates are for S dash frame. It means you have converted the coordinates of S frame in terms of coordinates of S dash frame. Means there is a transformation from one frame to other. So that is the reason this equation is known as transformation equation. Now you can understood this from this particular diagram. O, observer sitting in frame S, O dash is sitting in frame S dash. As you can see here, what is this? Displacement after time t. You can write this as Vt or Vt dash. Why I am saying you can write it as Vt or Vt dash? Because if you are taking observation after 10 seconds, then for O, you are taking observation after 10 seconds. And for O dash, again you are taking observation after 10 seconds. Means T and T dash, that is same. That is same for S frame as well as for S dash frame. So you can write it as, you can write here Vt or you can write here Vt dash. So depending upon our requirement, we can use Vt or Vt dash. Now this particular distance is, this one is x, and this distance is, this one is x dash. So you can write from here what, so as we were discussing here, that this particular distance is x, this is x dash. So if you want to write this x dash in terms of x, then x dash will be total x minus this. So x dash is x minus Vt. And you can see here that all the coordinates which are here on right hand side, these coordinates belongs to S frame, and all the coordinates which are there on left hand side, these coordinates belongs to S dash frame. It means you have converted, you have transformed the coordinates of one frame into the coordinates of other frame. So this is your transformation equation along x-axis. So let me explain this. So as I have already mentioned that there are two frames S and S dash. S is stationary, S dash is moving, but initially both are at same position. Now S dash will start moving along X axis and it is moving with this speed which is very small with respect to C. Now for same particle, same object, you are having two different set of coordinates X, Y, Z for with respect to S frame, and X dash, Y dash, Z dash and T dash with respect to S dash frame. So X dash, as I have discussed here, X dash is X minus Vt. So this is your transformation equation for the coordinates along X axis. And how this transformation will take place, you can see here, this is X dash. So X dash is X minus Vt. Now what about Y coordinate? As you can see here, this particular distance, you can write this distance either Y with respect to frame S, or you can write Y dash with respect to frame S dash. So it means the transformation equation along Y axis, that will be equal to Y dash equal to Y, and along Z axis, since there is no movement of this frame along Z axis, so Z dash is equal to Z. It means Y dash is Y and Z dash is Z. Now only the time coordinate is left, and since both the clocks, that is clock which is kept in frame S with this observer O, that clock C1, and the clock which is kept in frame S dash, clock C2, since both the clocks they will measure the same time, so this T dash is equal to T. It means the time is not variant, that is not affected by the motion of this S dash frame. So you are having these four set of coordinates, X dash as X minus Vt, Y dash as Y, Z dash as Z, and T dash as T. So these four equations, actually these are the Galilean transformation equations. Just give me 1 minute. These are Galilean transformation equations. Suppose you want to write the coordinates of S dash frame in terms of S. So for that you can see here, this one is X. So X can be written as this plus this, means X is equal to X dash plus Vt dash. You can write here X is equal to X dash plus Vt dash, because you know this is Vt or Vt dash. So now you can see these coordinates which are there on right hand side, these coordinates belongs to S dash frame and this belongs to S frame. So now you have converted the coordinates of S dash in terms of S. So this equation is inverse equation. Here the coordinates of S frame, they are converted into S dash. Here the S dash coordinates, they are converted in terms of S, and the remaining, that will remain as it is, Y as Y dash, Z as Z dash, T as T dash. So these four equations, Y, Y dash, Z, Z dash, and T equal to T dash, these four equations are known as inverse Galilean transformation equations. So I hope the meaning of Galilean transformation equations is clear. Transformation equations means when you are converting the coordinates of one inertial frame in terms of coordinates of other inertial frame, then those equations are known as transformation equations. Since you are having four coordinates, so there will be a set of four equations. And how you are getting those equations? By taking two inertial frames S and S dash. S is at rest and S dash is moving with the constant velocity with respect to S. So if it is moving with constant velocity, then it is also an inertial frame. Then the same particle, same object, that is described with respect to both the observers. So you are having two different set of coordinates. So then you will transform the coordinates of one inertial frame in terms of coordinates of other inertial frame. So these four equations are your Galilean transformation equations. So that's all for today. So the first topic was frame of references, then differences between inertial and non-inertial frames, and after that these Galilean transformation equations. Further, with the help of these equations, we will derive velocity transformations and acceleration transformations in our next lecture. Thank you very much.